Welcome to U.S. Immigration TV. On today's video, I will be talking about denials through abandonment. So make sure to watch the video until the end, and of course, like, share, and subscribe. Well, one of the most heartbreaking and easily preventable denials is through abandonment. If your case is denied due to abandonment, there are strict time limits and grounds to have the case reopened. Otherwise, the petition or application is considered permanently denied, and then the person must start over with a new filing, including getting a new priority date. Well, what is abandonment? What are the grounds to have a case reopened if it is denied due to abandonment? And of course, how can a person avoid a denial based on abandonment? Many people have consulted with me over the years, all with the similar fact patterns. Typically, a petitioner files a petition, but it can sometimes take USCIS, the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, many years before they even begin looking at the case or processing it. Years and years after the petition is filed, USCIS may send out a request for evidence, an RFE, asking for additional documents or information in order to establish the person's eligibility. Now, sometimes USCIS could request something as simple as a birth certificate, a marriage contract, or even wedding photos. And let's say if a woman has two different names, such as her maiden and married name, USCIS may request an explanation or proof that she is one and the same person, which could easily be accomplished by submitting her birth certificate and marriage contract. Now, many items requested in these RFEs are really simple and straightforward and easily obtainable. Well, unfortunately, for one reason or another, the petitioner never receives the RFE. And in many cases, this could be because they have moved, but they never notified USCIS of their new address. Remember, it takes years before USCIS finally begins processing the case. Therefore, the RFE may be sent to their old address and perhaps even returned to USCIS with return to sender as undeliverable. Well, RFEs have strict deadlines for responding, which is ordinarily 87 days. Well, if the petitioner fails to respond to an RFE or a notice of intent to deny within that time period, the petition or application is considered abandoned. As the regulations state, failure to submit evidence or respond to a notice of intent to deny. If the petitioner or applicant fails to respond to a request for evidence or to a notice of intent to deny by the required date, the benefit request may be summarily denied. Now, if a case is denied for abandonment, the person cannot file an appeal. Instead, they must ordinarily file a motion to reopen within 30 days of the denial due to abandonment. And there are only 3 specific grounds that the person has to demonstrate in order to have the case reopened and restored. And they are, number 1, the requested evidence was not material to the issue of eligibility. Number 2, the required initial evidence was submitted with the application or petition, or the request for initial evidence or additional information or appearance was complied with during the allotted period. Or number 3, the request for additional information or appearance was sent to an address other than that on the application, petition, or notice of representation, or the applicant or petitioner advised the service, the USCIS, in writing of a change of address or a change of representation subsequent or after the filing and before the service's request was sent and the request did not go to the new address. In other words, in order to have a case reopened, the person would have to demonstrate the evidence requested did not have a bearing on their eligibility, they already submitted the evidence, or the RFE was sent to the wrong address. Now, unless you fit into one of these 3 grounds, the USCIS could summarily deny the motion to reopen, even if you now submit the requested evidence, such as the birth certificate, the marriage contract, the photos, etc. If the case cannot be reopened or the motion to reopen is denied, a new petition or application would have to be filed, and the previous priority date would be lost. Think about that. Let's say a brother or sister petition may take 20 years, and 10 years later you get an RFE, do not respond, it is denied. That priority date's gone. Okay, now, what can you do to avoid a denial due to abandonment? Here's my suggestions. Number one, make sure that when you file a petition or application, you have filled it out correctly and included all the necessary or required evidence demonstrating eligibility. In other words, make sure your filing is complete, all the documents requested or required are included, so that there's no need for the USCIS to issue an RFE. Number two, monitor the processing times of petitions and applications on USCIS's website to determine if your case is past normal processing times or within the normal processing times. If it's past the normal processing times and you have not received any further notices or approvals from USCIS, this really should raise red flags for you, and you should inquire further. Number three, if you move after having filed a petition or application, make sure to notify USCIS directly in writing of the new address. Now, submitting that green postcard to the post office right after you move does not operate as notice to USCIS for them to send subsequent RFEs to your new address. And of course, keep the written documentation documenting that you notify USCIS of your new address. Now, if your case was denied due to abandonment, I would recommend that you consult with an attorney who could evaluate your case and determine if you could possibly have grounds to have the case reopened. Well, I'm not guaranteeing results or success. My office has been able to successfully have abandoned cases reopened by, for example, proving that the evidence requested was either not material or USCIS already had it in their records, or they were aware of the new address. I hope you have found this video informative and helpful to you. And I will continue, of course, posting more videos, which I hope you will find helpful in your immigration case. Therefore, make sure to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel. Push that subscribe button. I'm Michael Gurfinkel, and thank you for watching U.S. Immigration TV.